Hello, beautiful people. I see a lot of people telling me, Milton, I want to apply to Canada. I do not know how to go. I do not know the requirements. First thing first, there are videos I dropped already. Before you apply to any school in Canada, right? Please share this video and subscribe. And remember, I'll be dropping Canada videos here, okay? This is the place we'll be dropping the videos for studies in Canada. First, before you even go to any university and start applying, I want you to understand that there is something in Canada they call DLI, Designated Learning Institution. There is something they call PGWP, which is Post-Graduation Work Permit. Now, before you apply to any school, make sure it has the DLI number. Number two, before you apply to any university, make sure it is DLI approved. Like the courses in that school can actually permit you apply for post-graduation work permit after you finish your study program. Before you apply to any program in that school, make sure the program is DLI eligible and also can actually help you, because if you finish your school in Canada and the program you need is not DLI eligible, you are in big problems. So note this today. And again, I want to emphasize on the fact that if you are applying for a program in Canada, I would prefer you go in for a 2 years program or more, because the more the duration of the program, the longer your post-graduation work permit, which of course give you Canadian experience, like you work for that duration, is giving you Canadian experience, which also helps you apply for your PR when you finally decide to apply for PR. Now, Canada is a very big country, a very good country, but before you apply, ask yourself, what do I need? Remember, there are requirements, and every university have its own requirement. In as much as you've attended high school already, like you have your WAEC, you have your NECO, you have your passport, you have your CV, right? You have your transcript, or maybe your English proficiency, you can always apply for diploma programs, or most of the time, postgraduate diploma programs. But postgraduate cannot go in. You have to attach something like HND or OND, most of the time even BSc, to that document to apply for postgraduate diploma. But for a normal diploma program, it can go with just your high school certificate. Yes, this is a fact. Now, for university, you have to use your bachelor's degree or your high school documents to apply. But you need to understand that in Canada, there is two types, right? There is what we call research programs, and there is course-based programs. Now, if you are looking for scholarships, go for research programs. If you are looking for, maybe you want to pay from your pocket, you can go for course-based. But it is still not easy to go into course-based. However, to apply for bachelor's degree, you need to actually put in for the application and then submit your high school documents, your WAEC, your WASI, depending on the country, your O and A level, depending on the country you're coming from. Then you need to submit your passport, non-negotiable. You need to have, sometimes you may have to submit, what do they call this? Your English proficiency or your English IELTS. Okay, it can be English proficiency or it can be IELTS for that particular one. Then another thing you need to understand is that when you are applying to Canada for bachelor's, right, most of the time they will tell you to write motivation letters, and also they will tell you to bring maybe recommendation letters. Sometimes if you are applying to universities in bachelor's level in Canada, yes, put this into consideration. Most people do not know this. It just depends on the school. Then they also have application fee you have to pay, so pay attention to this. Now, once you are applying for maybe master's programs, requirements are usually very different. Now, again, if you are going in for research base or a normal course base is definitely not going to be that tough compared to research base. But the normal requirements are your high school documents and then your bachelor's degree, transcript, and the certificate if you want to study a master's program in Canada. Now, you also need to understand that you need to verify a lot of details, tuition fee, and these requirements before you proceed. And most of the time, depending on the school as well and the program, like I said, you will also submit recommendation letters and motivation letters. Now, these are the basic requirements, excluding the application fee payment stuff. With all of this now, you will now decide Okay, once you know this, because you need to check this before you begin your application. Without you checking all of this, you may not know what type of program you want to apply to. This is just my honest opinion. So please verify all of this. Now, when you are applying for a college, right, these requirements I mentioned, most of the time you need to also make a decision. Check the program you are applying to. Is it what Canada is looking for? Canada already made it clear, right? If you go to IRCC, you can always read all of this on IRCC. They want people that are going to contribute to their society. They don't just want to bring in people. That's why you see most people who are applying to things that Canada do not need will get visa rejections. This is not a joke. I'm telling you real life story. Yes, most people are getting rejected. Now, what are some of the things that Canada is looking for people in the healthcare, in the STEM? STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and so many other group of people, right? Which I mentioned before. But you just need to make sure you meet the requirements before you apply. I'm not talking to those who are chasing scholarships. I'm talking to those who are asking for normal requirements. Don't just apply. Before you apply, ask yourself, within me, can I sponsor this program? Can my family sponsor this program? Do we have money to sponsor this? Proof of funds, how much is it? Living cost is 20,000 plus. Tuition fee, if you check very well, maybe you can get something for 8,000, but from 8,000 plus, depending on the institution, is it a college or a university? Now, miscellaneous, flight tickets, all of this. And coupled with the fact that Canada is now saying that, oh, our visa approval rate is 35%. Because of what? They want to balance their economy. So you need to think about all of this before you engage. But remember, the requirements are never going to be the same. Okay, it's now left for you to make a decision. So I was talking with somebody who intend to also study in Canada in 2027. Canada is the best place, which of course I cannot debate with her. But the problem is that most people at the end of the day do not even know how much they need as proof of funds. I was the one who was even asking her, are you aware that you are actually going to show proof of funds as you want to migrate to Canada? And are you aware that this proof of funds is a lot of money? She was like, she's not aware. When I called the figure, she was like, hey, but I still want to try Canada. Now, you are not going to be trying Canada on try and error. The visa officer is not going to be looking at your documents and maybe feel pity for you. There is no pity party when it comes to visa. As a matter of fact, most of the permits are rejected because of irregular bank statements that are fake, and also money that cannot be accounted for. First thing first, how much do you need? You need to show the immigration that you have money to take care of yourself for 1 year. How much is the money? 22,895 Canadian dollars as I'm recording this video, right? Now, that is 22,000 aside Canadian dollars. Now, let's assume that you are university, because me, as it stands right now, I am advocating for people to go to university, not in community colleges. Yes, it may look very funny, and I understand that some people can actually choose. You can choose if you want, but for me, I prefer that if you want to study in any school in Canada this time, it should be university, not a community college. Yes. Now, the reason is because if you look at how the laws are changing, very soon they have not completely scrapped out people bringing certificates from colleges, and they are still giving them PGWP, right, which is the post graduation work permit. But in the nearest future, Canada might stop all of this. I know it's not going to stop somehow, but they will still choose people who came from universities, state universities to be precise, or higher education institution with degrees that are valuable in Canada, and give them post-graduation work permits over you, which will eventually give them Canadian experience. Then they can now apply for their PR and of course citizenship in future. So you have to put all these things into consideration. Now, let's assume that because according to IRCC, this is not by Milton, you need 22,895 Canadian dollars. Okay, that is part of your proof of funds. Now, let's assume that your tuition fee in maybe University of Toronto or University of Saskatchewan or University of British Columbia, not British Columbia, let's just say University of Ontario or Alberta, right? Let's just put it that way, that it is how much? 15,000. Now, let's assume that the school is asking you to pay 5,000. and you are left with 10,000 to pay. Now, that 10,000, remember, is still part of your proof of funds. You need to now add that money to how much? The 22,895. Now, that is not all, because according to the Canadian authorities, you need to have money for your tuition fee for 1 year, money for living costs for 1 year, miscellaneous. Miscellaneous is money for you to pay your flight, move from one country to the next, from one airport to the next, like leave your country to Canada. And if in case there is a problem, you can use your return ticket and come back. So your miscellaneous is your to and fro ticket. Do you understand? And that is estimated to be around $5,000. Let's leave it at that. Now, calculate this balance: 10,000 euros plus 22,000, almost 23,000 plus $5,000. Or let's assume that you've already paid your ticket one way, right? And you are left with about $3,000. And you are moving to Canada. And you cannot show just this money. You have to show that the money you have is a little bit more than just this, right? Now, if you calculate everything, is moving close to, like, let's just say 40 million. 40,000 Canadian dollars, right? I do not know how much that is in CFA or Naira, or Ghanaian cedis, but calculate. Now, that is not all. You are going to show this money in a bank account, and also who has that account? Where is the money in that account coming from? Does that person has a business? Does the person have a job? Does the person work? And if he works, is there evidence on how this money is given to the person? Putting all of these things together, that is what is going to make your proof of funds, right? You have to show all the legal papers, everything, bring everything to the table. Then this is one part of the visa application. Then you now go to the other part, which is talking about documents that will prove that you are going to come back to your home country. Well, in subsequent videos, I'm going to be analyzing this and talking about it. But for now, let us know that you can move to Canada. This is about the requirements. You already know the requirements. You need to be preparing. And this is how much you need for proof of funds. Let's say living costs, tuition fee. Yours may be less. Your tuition fee may be less, but you need to plan on time. Don't wait until the last day, then you go and start bumping millions into the account. They will flag the bank statement and look at it as a joke, because it is not your own. If you start pushing millions, a bank statement cannot be older than, let's say they say bring a 6 months bank statement and you raise 40 million on 2 pages. How is that possible? It's not possible, because proof of funds to study in Canada is the money must be readily available to you and accessible to you. Readily available and accessible, which means that anytime you wake up from the bed or you need to pay something in school, you can just go to that account and withdraw. But when they start see an account with little deposit, maybe 200k, 300k, with more than 10 pages, right, for more than 6 months building, fantastic. They will now understand that maybe you were building that account to go study. But if they say present an account, you bring 4 pages with 2 million, 4 million, 3 million, 2.5 million, 3 million, like that, in that order, and maybe the documents that you are adding to as supporting documents, your salary there is 100k per month. How is it possible that you got those millions into that account? So you need to be tactical when it comes to Canada migration. It's not just about Canada migration, but we are talking about Canada here. That's why I'm taking time to emphasize, so that you know all of these things, because they are very valuable. And in subsequent videos, I'm going to be talking about it. I just wanted you to know that these are the documents you need, and this is the amount of money you need, so you should be preparing for that. I hope you enjoy this video.